Hello and happy Monday, June 30th, 2025. I hope you had a great weekend. We have been sweltering here in London in a big heat wave, and I'm sure you've seen about it. It has even made the international news because it's so much hotter than normal. The temperatures are hitting up to 90 Fahrenheit, which is it's really hot in our flat. And a lot of the places here, air conditioning is not normal. We have small refrigerators, and that's going to be true for all of Northern Europe, really. And so even though those temperatures, like above 80, 85, may not sound 85 Fahrenheit, so into the high 20s and 30s, they may not sound hot if you're in an area where it it normally gets that hot all summer, but it doesn't normally get that hot all summer here. It's normally, well, I mean that there's no normal right now, right? I remember it's totally unpredictable now. Actually, I was in the north. I was up in the Lake District a few weeks ago, and a taxi driver was telling me, like, he said, yeah, every year we used to just pack up our winter clothes, and then it would be summer, and we'd wear shorts and t-shirts the whole entire summer. And that doesn't really happen anymore because you could have these hot weeks and then these weeks that are more fresh. And even all summer long, it's not as predictable. And a lot of places are going through that. I know in California and in Greece, and I think Spain would fall into this category as well. There just wouldn't be the kind of fires. And now it's just almost par for the course every summer that it's just really hot. There's so much to be aware of. And also, things are changing so fast. Like that terrible freak storm I mentioned last week in Lake Tahoe. Also, there was a big sudden situation in Paris last week. There was hail. There were flash floods on the metro, and it was some of the video footage. It was kind of chaotic, which to be honest, I'm not sure if that was more local in some neighborhoods of Paris. Like that happens sometimes here in London. But nonetheless, it seems like these weather situations are changing very fast. So it's just something to be paying attention to. So let's get started. Today, we're going to be talking about the heat. We're also going to be talking about stress because, again, there's so much uncertainty, and then the weather is even uncertain. So that is adding a certain element of stress. So we're going to talk about kind of just some different things that to be aware of and to notice when your body might be feeling stressed. So, hi, I'm Sheila O'Connor. I'm a health coach and educator. And on this channel, we're looking at how diet and lifestyle can support our wellness according to these dynamic weather fluctuations that are happening from week to week. We've sort of been led to believe that if we just set up a system for ourselves, we can follow that every day and, then you get this nice routine. Well, that's all fine and good until the weather comes in and throws a wrench in your plans. And so we really need to get accustomed to making these adjustments, maybe to our menu, maybe to some of our sleep habits or fitness habits or various things. So we're going to talk about all of that on the channel. I'm going to come in every Monday with like a general idea and a couple of things that are coming up for the week ahead. I'm working on some content videos, which I'm excited about, but those are just going to take some time. So they'll be here when they get here, and I'm excited, and I have a lot of work to do, but it's going to be great. It's going to be great. We're going to quickly, well, I just like to do a quick screen share. We're not going to do too long of one today, actually. So here's the weather. Here's the one we like to look at, right? The biometeorology. So that's great. There's nothing major like from the sun or the UV is pretty mild, but really the heat is the big story here. And you can see right over here is 90 degrees Fahrenheit, a little bit of a breeze. which is good. There's more of a breeze than there was yesterday. Yesterday it was super still and boy, it was uncomfortable. Um, so yeah, that's super hot here. We'll just look at a couple other ones that I have queued up. We don't need to look at that. Again, Paris, it's 95 degrees Fahrenheit in Paris right now. Like, if you are over there, it is sweltering. I hope you're finding a place to not be too melting. Um, this is our barometric pressure for London. We like to look at that every week. And you know, you can go and look at these graphs, just Google barometric pressure in your area, and it gives you a little way to look forward. I like to look ahead so I know what's coming. I like to plan. I'm a planner. Sometimes people think it's funny because I like to plan too much, but here we are. And you can see next week, Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be having the pressure dropping quite a bit. That obviously could change. I look at London and a few other places on this channel. I expect that you are able to translate that to wherever you are and the weather you are experiencing in the world. Those are the biggest things. Here we have just a news report. This is from the El País in Spain. I just like to grab a few ones. Like you see all these areas on the map. This says ola de calor, consulte el nivel de riesgo. So the heat wave that's a heat wave happening, and that it's advising people to check the risk level in their various regions. Here's another, this is another one on Le Monde. 16 departments are, is this the right? Yeah. Yeah, like the temperatures are going above 40 degrees Celsius, and the weather. So check your local forecast and make sure that you kind of are prepared for that. And yeah, 32 degrees, 33. That is our current weather. So that is kind of the heat wave that's going on. So the main things with the heat, there's a few different things that could be happening. Of course, there's heat exhaustion, which is, if not taken care of, it can lead to heat stroke. Now, I think one of the things that happens in the summer is that, you know, you're used to being inside in, a more kind of controlled temperature environment, and then you go on holiday, you're off on vacation, and it's hotter than you're used to, but you're outside exposed and you're playing and everything. I know when we would go on family vacations, our son would sometimes get overheated just from playing and running around in the heat and not being accustomed to it. And, you could get clammy skin. You just might feel really, really fatigued. Your heart rate can be super dysregulated. And, especially for children, I guess for anyone of any age. I mean, I've experienced it in my family with a child, but getting really stomach upset and maybe even vomiting. And it doesn't really make sense, kind of, because it, you think of a stomach upset being related to maybe getting some kind of virus or also eating something bad. And it's not usually that. It's just the way the heat is taking resources and dysregulating the body. So that could be a source of it. I really don't recommend intermittent fasting when it's hot because you're sweating a lot and it's already taking a certain amount from your body. So you're already naturally depleted. So trying to do a detox during this time is actually, I wouldn't recommend that at all. It's too depleting. I've done that myself. I've done intermittent fasting on vacation. We've been out on excursions, and I've kind of had this experience where I literally ran out of energy, like kind of like bonking when you're doing cycling or running. So make sure you're not getting into that of extreme depletion and the problems of heat exhaustion. We'll get to a couple ways to stay cool. The disrupted appetite. It's an interesting thing because you might not feel hungry. It's one of those like catch 22s. Maybe you don't feel hungry because it's so hot, but then you're getting depleted, so you need to be renourishing. So making sure that your drink, whatever you're consuming, has got a lot of nutritional density is a really great idea. So that way you're replacing as it's being depleted from the heat and you'll maintain your energy. And I'm gonna get my fan. I don't want to belabor this video too much because I had to turn off my fan literally because of the motor's too loud. And so here we are and talking about the heat. So we talked about heat stroke. Dehydration is kind of the same. Try to make sure you're taking sips of water throughout the day. Put a pinch of salt in it. Add some kind of electrolyte mixes. That's really going to be pretty helpful. Poor sleep or disrupted sleep. This is kind of interesting because this is again going back to the whole linear thing of you get your system in place and you do all these, your you have your routine, right? You have your sleep routine, your workout routine, like, and it's your circadian rhythm, and that's all fine and good. But when we have these dynamic weather changes come in, we need to kind of take a step back and pause and think about, okay, does that make sense this week? And how do I toggle things and make it work? I know for me here, and since I moved to London from San Francisco, so San Francisco, the weather is super mild. It has a very distinct rainy season, so there's really a lot of flexibility to be going out on walks during the day, or things are all quite predictable. There's not a lot of daylight. Well, there is daylight fluctuation, but it's not dramatic. It's not as dramatic as it is here. And so I could get up and go for morning walks or have certain expected things that could happen year round. Now, here in England, in the winter, I can't go for morning walks, or I wouldn't choose to because it's actually too cold. It might even be dark. So the whole time, if I like to take a walk every day, which I do, at least one, uh, I kind of have to figure out how that's going to work in my day ac according to the season even. So I set my alarm this morning so I could get up, go for a walk before it started to get too hot. And I'm really glad I did because it's just too hot to be out um, really through most of the day. And it might just change your sleep schedule as are able, if with any flexibility. There are entire cultures whose hours are based on the heat so that they do more at night. So it just might be that while it's hot, you feel like staying up later and getting outside in the evening when you're finally able to, and there isn't the same exposure during the day. So kind of be willing to be flexible with that and play around with it and see what feels good. And obviously, that's going to be different for everybody according to your schedule and responsibilities. But where you have flexibility, especially at the weekend, that's a good time to kind of give that a try. So let's see, what else were we going to talk about here? Oh, yeah. The heat can cause a lot of inflammation and even headaches. And so that is caused by like constriction of blood vessels. And so that can be pretty uncomfortable. Staying hydrated is going to help. Obviously, enough electrolytes is really going to help because if you're just don't get enough, if you get a lot of just water without electrolytes, and we talked about this in another video, add a pinch of salt, add some electrolyte packets or tablets to your tap water, or drink high quality mineral water to make sure you're getting the minerals that are keeping all the cells running and the circuits going. Because if there isn't, they'll start, you know, shutting off certain, like, okay, where can we save energy here? Because we need to we need to keep things going. So that's just something to think about with the heat, and it can cause headaches. So try not to let that happen. If you notice a headache coming on, you might want to just address that the best way that you prefer to. I'm not going to say like you can use a natural one, you can use some aspirin if you really need to, because there's science about the constricting about the blood, especially to the brain. Like this would happen to me when I was cycling. I would get headaches during the hot days, and I learned that I needed to have a little bit of a different approach on those days to avoid getting the headache. So those are a lot of the things that to pay attention to with the heat. Obviously, you want to make sure you're eating good food that is nourishing you. I'm going to do a whole video on summer menus, but usually like there's a reason why we have all this nice juicy fruit this time of year, the berries, the melons, all the stone fruit. So really enjoy that. There's a reason it's there. It nourishes us, and it even though there's a lot of ideas out there that, oh, don't do those because they have too many carbohydrates or something like that. That's what we need right now. The days are longer, we're spending more energy, and it's hot. So enjoy what the season is providing wherever you are, okay? In terms of the inflammation that you could get, I really like to use ginger, like a ginger tea, add ginger to food. It's a wonderful anti-inflammatory. And like Tabasco sauce or spicy foods are going to be really great because for your circulation. And also they could make you sweat, and that provides another element of cooling. So in terms of really managing the heat and dealing with it, especially if you don't have air conditioning, you can see that I have the curtains closed here, for example. So I open the windows here after it gets dark. Once the sun goes down, and I open the shades and windows, and then I leave them open all night. And then I wake up in the morning, and I might even set an alarm if it's going to get hot early, then I close everything up again. So it's a little bit counterintuitive, especially in the UK when it doesn't get quite this hot. Then it's a nice day. You want to open the windows, but actually you want to close everything up and keep it as cool as possible in the house, which the coolest it's going to be is like maybe by 9 in the morning, it's already hotter than you want it to be in your house. So you want to keep all the air outside and keep the air inside as cool as possible. And then, have some fans around. There's lots of ideas for what to do. And, if you just get really, really hot, then I really like just taking like a cold shower. There was one heat wave we had a couple years ago. Like I was taking cold showers like every couple hours because it was like literally so hot, and we had this skylight in our house at the time, so we couldn't keep it out. Like it just was instantly baking. So especially if you're in a place where you have like a conservatory or that kind of space, like it's just gonna be completely roasting. So a cold shower or, cool shower, excuse me, it'll just cool down your body, and also the water, the wetness, it'll create an evaporation and cool yourself as well. So that's pretty nice. Those are a couple of things I really like to do for my maintenance when we're going through these heat waves. Also with the heat, and then we're gonna just move on to stress. Um, Conserve energy as much as you can. You may not walk as far on if you're walking a lot, or you may do a less intense workout. Just kind of notice how you're feeling, and how if your body's feeling more fatigued, adjust whatever workout or fitness you have planned for that day accordingly. So I hope that helps with the heat. Let's go ahead and move on, and we're going to talk about stress. Now, I'm going to keep talking about stress because it's just something we really need to understand. And I'm going to read. I have a couple of things I want to actually read. First of all, this is a book that I have. It's a herbal medicine encyclopedia. It's another one of my go-tos because just it I always check what it's recommending here, just to and then what avenue to go down in that sense. So let's look at what this says about stress. The 20th century disease. So, I mean, okay, and 21st, but there wasn't really stress before the 20th century. And it's something of modern civilization. And there are other things that go along with that. So it's a little bit new. Um, it is a major factor in high blood pressure, heart attacks, and all this, which we often know. And common sources of stress are relationship difficulties, personal illness, unemployment, bereavement, and repressed anger. So that's kind of what it says. So, all the emotions and all the different things, the relationships that we're in, any grief that we're experiencing, any financial challenges, those are all sources of stress. And that is part of things that we're dealing with in modern life. This says maintenance of a general health is called for with a change of pace, maybe change of lifestyle, yoga, or other relaxation techniques. So I think the main thing that this is saying is that if you're feeling like you're noticing a lot of stress, then it's a time to slow down. And even if you don't think you're having a lot of stress, take some time to slow down every day because I think you'll notice that when you do that, it'll feel a lot better. And one of my favorite ways to just, I don't like to be still either. And so you can also do something if you want to be the doer here. So today I'm going to talk about some teas. So we have some of my favorite teas that I think are calming to the system in general. Um, well, chamomile is one of my favorites. It's so yummy. Also, most of these herbal teas have minerals, potassium, vitamin C. Like they're trace amounts, but it's that whole thing. You don't need to take like a big, vitamin C horse pill or something. You just need to be having it consistently be consumed throughout the day because most of these nutrients need to be replaced every day. So we have a lemon verbena tea that is very good. This one is supposed to support glutathione, which is really cool. Tulsi clarity also, or different kinds of tulsi, also known as holy basil, is super yummy. If you haven't tried the tulsi, I definitely recommend that. And then hibiscus, a nice chilled hibiscus. This one is a rosehip, elderberry, and hibiscus blend. It's super yummy. So some herbal teas, you can make them, chill them, really yummy way. Again, with the stress, taking a moment of stillness and doing some deep breathing is really supportive. And just like it said in the book, slowing down um, is just going to be super helpful for stress. And then the last thing I want to talk about, since we're talking about the weather here, is that um, the U.S. there's been some news lately that there's going to be some weather data that is no longer going to be provided. So starting today, the U.S. Department of Defense is stopping providing satellite weather data. So this is coming from as a surprise to most people. I'm sure you've heard about it. They've been reporting it on all the channels. It's especially problematic for the hurricane season, and they're using a lot of that data. So Forecasters rely on detailed satellite data for weather events like wildfires, tornadoes, hurricanes, and floods. So they're not going to be doing that anymore. So there's a lot of speculation as to what's going on. It's definitely causes one to wonder why the Department of Defense, who should be defending our livelihood, is doing this. And it's more important than ever that we take responsibility for our own self, our own health, our own really recognize what's going on in our environment, finding our own resources to kind of help and support us through this. So, take that all with it however you want to, but just pay attention to what's going on and be discerning because it's your health, it's your life, it's your body, it's your spirit, and you want to have control over having the best outcomes for yourself every day. So I hope you all have a really great week. Thank you for tuning in today. Get your fan out, get your spray bottle, all the things you might need to manage the heat waves wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.